The most frightening thing for your adversaries is not your silence. It's the moment you become the person they said you'd never be. Let it sink in. The chosen one. Because of tonight. Not tomorrow. Not someday in the future. Tonight, the universe will turn a switch inside you. And once it happens, there is no turning back. The folks who misjudged you and said you'd never make it will sense a shift in their bones. They lack confusion. They'll pretend not to notice, but deep inside, they'll know precisely what occurred. Imagine this for a moment. The chosen one. A room packed with people laughing at a candle, mocking it because it is little, fragile, and easily blown out. But what happens when the flame comes into contact with a pile of dry wood? The entire room erupts in fire. Suddenly, no one is laughing. That's you tonight. For a long time, they assumed you were only a spark, something they might extinguish with skepticism, rumor, or jealousy. But tonight, you become the fire. They lack control, the fire they can't put out. And here's a reality that should shock their foundations. According to human behavior study, when a person accepts their complete personality without fear, their social impact increases dramatically, frequently doubling or tripling overnight. That is not philosophy. That is data. People who cease concealing or watering themselves down suddenly draw energy and attention that they were previously denied. And this is exactly what is happening to you tonight. No more shrinkage, no more fading. You are moving into the frequency. You could discover that they were afraid. And thank you, chosen one, for being here with me right now. Don't forget to respond to this message by pushing the subscribe button so that it might reach additional hearts in need. This is not simply a channel. It is a mission. You're part of something larger than yourself. We are all responsible for sharing this light. So, thank you for being here. I chose one because your presence is important. Let's go back to it. Tonight is more than just ordinary night. Tonight is a watershed moment, a transformation so abrupt that when you wake up tomorrow, even the air around you will feel different. People will perceive it before you say anything. They will notice how you handle yourself and how your eyes remain steady. Your quiet commands respect. And those who doubted you, they will scurry because they have spent years assuring themselves that you would never reach this point. The truth is, selected one. You've always been unusual. You've always felt pressure to shrink, simply to keep others comfortable. Maybe you attempted to tone it down, blend in, and make life easy for those who couldn't take your presence. But the cosmos does not allow selected ones to remain concealed indefinitely. There comes a night like today when everything you've suppressed comes to the surface, refusing to be buried. That is the night you become unmistakable. Consider how frequently they attempted to place you in a box. They labeled you. They doubted you. They rolled their eyes at your capabilities. They needed you to remain little so that their insecurities could breathe. However, the universe has been silently preparing you, taking away the phony relationships, pointless distractions, and heavy baggage, until you were obliged to assert your own power. And the stage is prepared for tonight. You don't simply jump into your position. You own it, and this is what makes it lyrical. The same individuals who underestimated you will be the most upset by your metamorphosis. They will act as if nothing has changed. However, you will notice that their voices tremble when they talk to you. They'll flick through your presence quietly, like they're not observing. However, they will be shaken to their core. You will torment them just by being who you are. This is not about arrogance, chosen one. It is about inevitability. When the cosmos chooses someone to ascend, no force can prevent it. Not jealousy, gossip, or even treachery. And tonight, an irresistible river surges through you. They'll feel it. They will oppose it, but they can't deny it. So, buckle up. The chosen one. You aren't merely entering a new chapter. You are becoming the chapter that others cannot skip. Tonight, you exemplify the version of yourself they hoped would never appear. Tonight, you cease becoming their fear and instead become their reality. That's why this is more than simply another message. This is a confirmation. This is your moment. This is exactly what you will become tonight. So, Chosen One, take a deep breath, for what is going to happen is more than just words. It's a mirror of your own path. If you've gotten this far, it implies the universe has already prepared you for something bigger. And tonight's the night. Everything comes to life. I want you to stick with me, stay grounded, and ride this message till the conclusion, because each word will seem like it was written specifically for you. Leave a remark with the number 777. If you're ready to embrace the version of yourself that they claimed couldn't exist, this is more than just a message. It is the affirmation your spirit has been yearning for. The longer you remain, the clearer things will become. Why does tonight alter everything? So, let us not waste another second choosing one. Get ready, because this is exactly what you'll do. Tonight, you will be completely transformed. Let's get started. Number 1, you will become the fire that exposes, rather than the mirror that pleases. The cruelest punishment for your adversaries is not your rage. It forces them to confront themselves in the rawness of your truth. Tonight, I choose one. You cease being a safe mirror. You must cease being the polished glass that flatters, conceals, and conforms to their delusions. From this point forward, you become significantly more dangerous. You become the fire that burns away their masks and melts through their layers of acting, that exposes them to the merciless light of reality. They wanted you to be silent. They wanted you to be pleasant. They wanted you to take on the role of the mirror, reflecting only what made them feel comfortable. But tonight, you stop reflecting. You start burning. Consider this selected one as a performer on stage, smiling broadly, delivering their lines, and basking in the applause. But then the stage lights became brighter, harsher, and hotter, until the makeup starts to dissolve, until the outfit began to itch, until the mask is no longer sticky. That's you. You are the light that has transformed into a blaze. And your adversaries, your skeptics, the people who have constructed their identities on shaky foundations, they can no longer fake in your presence. They squirm, they sweat, they fumble, not because you say anything, but because their performance is rendered ineffective by your very presence. And this is the reality. They do not want to confess. According to psychology, most people wear masks not to deceive others, but to protect themselves from the fear of being seen. Their false confidence, cultivated image, and I'm doing well act. All of it is armor. However, the universe has given you the unique ability to pierce that armor without raising a hand. Your energy alone is the heat they can't bear. That's why they avert your gaze. That's why people describe you as intimidating. This is why they call you haughty, frigid, or unapproachable. But what they truly imply is that you won't let me lie to myself anymore. And I despise you for it. And here's when the irony hits hard. People profess to seek truth, yet the second truth smacks them in the face. They go for the hammer and shatter it. They will turn your clarity into brutality. They will attempt to turn your presence into a problem. However, just one was picked. Understand this. They don't detest you. They despise what you arouse in them. You are live proof that their delusions are shattering. And no matter how much they struggle, deny, or defame, they will be unable to escape. You compel them to see themselves unfiltered. This is a quiet shift. It is silent, but it's violent. You will not have to yell, explain, or justify yourself. Your quiet will speak louder than theirs. Your quiet will make them restless. Your sincerity will feel like fire on their skin. Some will crumble beneath it. Others will lash out. However, it will have an impact on every one of them individually. That's the type of power the universe honed within you. It's not flashy. It is not dramatic. It is relentless. Clarity, X-ray view of the soul. But first, let's address an issue that may be on your mind right now. Why me? Why do I have to be the one to make others uncomfortable? The solution is straightforward. Because illusions are cozy prisons, and most people would prefer die inside them than pay the price of freedom. You choose one of the cracks in the wall. You are the power that causes the jail to quake. You are a reminder that faking is not living, and that scares them. It is not your responsibility if they cannot breathe in the midst of reality. Clinging to falsehoods is entirely their decision, and certainly this journey is harsh. Do not imagine for a second that it will get you acclaim. The world adores mirrors that flatter, but it despises the fires that destroy illusions. They will misinterpret you. They'll call you names. They will put their own anxieties on you. But despite their animosity, they will respect you. Because they know you're carrying something, they are unable to fake. Authenticity is essential, and no disguise, costume, or performance can withstand the fire. The chosen one. Tonight, you stop being invisible. Tonight, you will cease dimming yourself to make others comfortable. Tonight, the tiny, nearly imperceptible alteration becomes permanent. Your presence will disturb the unprepared. Your quiet will cause liars to sweat. Your sincerity will sting. Pretenders like acid on their skin. This is not the job you requested. It is what the cosmos has etched into you. And as they try to conceal their tracks, make excuses, and point fingers, you will stand there unshaken, symbolizing a truth that they cannot destroy. Consider it like this. Most mirrors are safe. They reflect back what people desire to see. They are flattering. They soften. They soften the creases. But you are not glass. You are fire in human form. And when others stand in front of you, they do not perceive flattering reflection. They may feel the fire. They can sense the exposure. They sense the disintegration of what they've built on falsehoods. That is why, tonight, when the cosmos seals this energy into you, you will sense a difference right away. Rooms will get quieter. The eyes will dart away. Conversations will stumble. Not because you've transformed into something else, but because you've grown too real to ignore. This is your power, chosen one. Nobody can steal it from you. No gossip, no jealousy, no treachery. They will try, but they cannot put out a fire. The universe was lighted. Remember this. They may label you intimidating, but they indicate that you see me more clearly than I wish to be seen. They might call you arrogant, but they really mean that I can't take the reality. You are radiant. They might refer to you as cold, but what they mean is that your genuineness destroys my illusions, and I don't know how to live without them. So embrace it. Wear your fear as proof. Allow their anguish to affirm your change. Because you have chosen one tonight, you will not walk as a reflection. You walk like a flame. You don't just reflect the world. You burn through its illusions. And when the night is over and the new day arrives, you will be more than just seen. You'll be felt. And it is the start of everything they attempted to hide from you. Number 2, you will be the proof that the war was never imagined. The cruelest trick your opponents ever pulled was convincing you that the conflict wasn't genuine. While bleeding, you dry quietly. The chosen one. Tonight, the mask falls off. Tonight, you quit blaming it all on bad luck. 2 coincidences. 2 random storms. Tonight, you see with unfiltered eyes that what you went through was more than simply suffering. It was a deliberate resistance. Every knife in your back, every season of loneliness, And every weird betrayal that appeared to appear out of nowhere was not coincidental. It was designed. Starting tonight, you will be living proof that this was never a metaphor. The battlefield was always real. You are proof that the cosmos does not squander pain. It forges it into weapons. Imagine this for a moment. The Chosen One, a soldier on the battlefield who is unaware he is at war. He believes the bullets zipping past his head are accidents. He feels that the pits he falls into are simply errors. He begins to question whether he is clumsy, cursed, or simply unfit. However, one night, someone places binoculars in his hands. Suddenly, he notices the enemy lines, traps, and crosshairs. That soldier knows he was not forced. He was targeted. That's you. Tonight, those binoculars are in your hands. And once you've seen it, you will never forget it. Think about it. Why did the betrayals strike so deeply? Why did the people you trusted most become strangers overnight? Why did the tone of the rooms change as soon as you went in? Because you are the chosen one, your energy is never neutral. It's unusual. It is disruptive. It disrupts systems that rely on deception. And the systems do not just attack using policies or rules. They attack via humans. And the harsh part, most of those folks had no idea they were being manipulated. They believed they were setting boundaries. They believed they were picking themselves. They assumed they were just moving on. But beyond their conscious decisions, they were pawns, moving on instinct. They were playing parts that they didn't comprehend. You were not unfortunate. You were marked. That's why nothing felt natural to you. You were never granted the luxury of sleeping through life while others could relax. You needed to ascend where others could rest. You were put to the exam while others were praised for doing half as much work. You were chastised for even trying. And you questioned yourself, right? Why me? Why do I always feel like I'm being attacked? Because you were neither in metaphor nor in actuality. Let me show you another photograph. Imagine a chessboard. Most humans are pawns. They follow predictable patterns, willing to just exist inside the system. And then there's you, the queen's piece. Unlimited mobility equals unlimited possibilities. Dangerous to the board's structure. So what happens? Every move is designed to trap you. I'm going to corner you. You will be neutralized. Pawns are sacrificed only to slow you down. Do you see it now? That was not chaos. That was no coincidence. That was strategy. And now comes the hardest part. Isolation was never a mistake. It was a strategy. The gaslighting was not awful. Communication. It was psychological warfare intended to make you question your sanity. The numerous diversions were not random. They were placed to keep you fatigued so you could see well. Everything they did was designed to keep you weak, silent, and questioning yourself. And yet you're still breathing, rising, and carrying fire in your chest. They believed breaking you would bury you, yet all they did was prepare you to fight in the dark. Think about the evenings you sob alone. There were days when you walked without anybody clapping, the hours you spent wondering if you were even built for this. That was not wasted time. That was training. You believed you were being broken, but you were actually being honed. You were being created in quiet for the stage, which will open tonight. You could be wondering if it was all warfare. So, what does it imply for me now? Do I have to be in defensive forever? Number 2, the night shift. Tonight, the curtain will lift. Tonight, you'll stop fumbling in the dark and see the battlefield for what it truly is. Here's the major difference. You're no longer the hunted. You are no longer an experiment. You are no longer the one being observed, manipulated, or tested. You are the one with the information. You're carrying the blueprints now, and they know. Imagine returning to the same room where they once humiliated you. This time, however, you can watch every game, technique, and disguise. Their grins are thin. Their vitality is empty. Before they finish a statement, you can tell they're lying. You no longer fall for it since you are aware of the conflict. You view the board. You notice the traps. You see the puppets. And that clarity alone renders you untouchable. When the hunted realize they are being hunted, they become dangerous. That's what tonight's about. The Chosen One. The moment you understand the pandemonium wasn't actually chaos, but rather resistance. The betrayals were not personal. They were strategic. The losses were not punishment. They were preparing. Suddenly, everything made clear. The fog lifts. The dispersed bits have aligned. You know you were never insane, pressured, or weak. You were being prepped. So ask yourself this. If they required all of those strategies to slow you down before you realized you were at war, what happens now that you've done this? That's what scares them the most. Since the battlefield alters tonight, you are no longer floundering in the crossfire. You're standing tall and watching them struggle. And they understand that once you realize the truth, you can never return to playing blind. This is the reason you were targeted. Chosen One, your energy conveys something old, uncommon, and irreplaceable. Systems based on falsehoods cannot exist when individuals like you emerge. That's why the strain was higher, the betrayals greater, and the loneliness colder. But that weight proved your worth, not your weakness. And tonight, you embody the proof. Tonight, you will become the evidence. No more confusion. I no longer have any doubts. You will no longer mistake the flames around you for coincidence. Tonight, you can see it plainly. And once you see, you can't unsee. That's why we selected one. This isn't simply another step. This is the night you cease being their objective and instead become their terror. Number 3, you will be the signal that breaks their delusions. The most dangerous weapon is neither a sword nor a pistol. It's a frequency that causes falsehoods to crumble the moment they enter the room. The Chosen One. That is what you will become tonight. Not simply vibrating faster or flashing a bit brighter. That phrase does not even scrape the surface. Your entire energy field has altered into something disruptive, not chaotic, not irresponsible, but harmful to anything founded on deceit, control, and manipulation. When you enter a space now, the bogus systems start to break. People who lived on faking and twisting the truth to their benefit suddenly glitch in your presence. Their jokes do not land. Their allures seem to have faded. Their capacity to affect the audience diminishes. The rationale is straightforward. You are there. Clean frequencies will always corrupt. Dirty systems. Imagine entering a room packed with smoke machines. Everyone within has become accustomed to inhaling the haze while believing it is fresh air. But as soon as you open the window, the smoke is revealed. For what it is, poison. That's you. You don't even need to call it out. Your presence becomes the open window, and nobody can pretend to be breathing cleanly anymore. This is an ego. This is not arrogance. It's the natural progression of someone who has been taken down and rebuilt so many times that their aura no longer resembles anything artificial. Your frequency has grown so pure that it serves as a truth serum, and people can no longer pretend in your presence. They are unable to continue their performance because the energy you bring will not allow illusion to stand. You'll notice this transformation in subtle but noticeable ways. Manipulators who formerly had the entire room under their spell will begin fumbling when you arrive. Their voice rattles, their rhythm breaks, and their control over others decreases. Why? Because their power never existed. It was derived from people's fears. Fear collapses in the presence of honesty. This is why they avoid eye contact. Why do people laugh at things that aren't funny? Why are they twisting your facts into problems? They believe their programming has failed when your near authenticity does not stand out. It corrodes the fake, causing it to disintegrate. Consider a corrupt structure supported by cheap scaffolding. Every time you walk in, your frequency rattles the building like an earthquake. The paint peels, the fissures grow, and the entire appearance of solidity collapses. That is why you can no longer remain in certain areas, not because you are frail, but because your soul refuses to lower itself in order to make dysfunctional institutions comfortable. This is the stage at which even your surroundings respond. There are more technological problems around you. People feel tired or energized simply by being near you. Your body notifies you when a location is unsafe, not with paranoia, but with certainty. Your neurological system is now tuned to wavelengths. The majority of individuals cannot even register, and that is why you have gotten so pricey. They chose one that is too pricey for their low-cost games, too strong for petty manipulation to clean up their filthy systems. Tonight is the moment of no return. You are no longer merely inputting spaces, you are rewriting them. You are the frequency that cannot be faked, copied, or silenced. And that is why they fear you. Fourth, you will become a clock and chain breaker. Your adversary's biggest fear is not that you will succeed. It is that you will undo all they have created by remaining in the current one. Tonight, you walk into a force that not only alters your path, but bends reality itself. You no longer follow their time rules. You're not bound by the past or the future. You are about to become a live disruption, the collapse of cycles, the one who halts generational patterns in their tracks. That explains why the weight seems so heavy right now. It is not tension. It is not confusion. It is data. It's the world downloading codes into your chest, rewiring your spirit to take on responsibilities. No one before you could withstand the consequences of breaking time. The past remembers and the future rearranges. Think about it. Why is someone from years ago thinking about you now? Why do past ghosts, loves, and adversaries suddenly appear in your mind or phone? That is not random. That's not a coincidence. That's your energy bouncing through dimensions, creating waves in areas they believed were closed. They believe you're correcting the tale they told, destroying the lies they relied on, and collapsing the narratives they hid behind. They don't understand why you are suddenly tormenting them. But you know what? You've become the reset point. Imagine this. A family line has carried the same wound for centuries. Abuse, betrayal, silence, shame. Everyone shrugs and says, "That's just how things are." Then you come, and instead of continuing, you terminate it. Your healing caused shock. Shock waves propagate backward, comforting forebears who have never found peace while simultaneously inspiring future generations. That is the force of a time breaker. You don't look for closure anymore. You are the closure, and yes, the chosen one. Sometimes it feels overwhelming. You question yourself, why me? Why does it feel like I'm carrying the weight of more than simply my personal story? Because you do. You are not only ascending, you are always correcting. You refuse to accept falsehoods. Every second, you chose truth over comfort. Every scar you transformed into wisdom. These weren't personal victories. These were historical resets. You haunt the past. You are responsible for shaping the future. The present is scared of you. This is why denial will no longer shield them. Their fabricated tales crumble in your presence. Even your older self, the broken, silent, and ignored version senses you're coming. It's like seeing yourself again, but this time with justice, voice, and insight. You are the resolution your former self longed for. You are the unexpected occurrence, the restart button, the cosmological interruption, a clock and chain breaker, and beginning tonight everything they twisted, everything they buried, everything they attempted to silence, begin to unravel inside you. Number 5, you will become the memory they have attempted to erase. The enemy's biggest dread was never your agony. It was the day you would realize who you truly are, the chosen one. That day has arrived. Tonight, stop being the amnesiac they fought so hard to create, and you step into the memories they hoped would never happen. They didn't only want to hurt you. They attempted to bury you behind layers of guilt, diversions, and noise so thick that you wondered whether your light was ever genuine. They created false narratives about you, pinned bogus identities on your back, and altered timelines to keep you sleeping, submissive, and forgetful. However, memories cannot be obliterated. It just waits. Tonight, it returns with thunder. The truth does not whisper. It roars after the quiet has lasted too long. Have you ever had the unsettling feeling that something wasn't adding up, as if life was occurring in front of you, but you weren't actually there, as if everyone else had agreed to a script you never received? That was not misunderstanding. That was recognition. That was your soul shouting through the seams, telling you that the tale you were told wasn't entirely true. Imagine a youngster growing up in a hall of mirrors, with each reflection altered, stretched, shrunk, or warped until the child forgot what they looked like. This is what they did to you. They said you were too much, too sensitive, and too defiant. But what they actually meant was that you see too well. And if you don't remember who you are, our lives will end. Here's the terrible truth. They failed. The programming is cracking. The misleading reflections are shattering. Your memory is returning in the form of cellular remembering rather than just cognition. It is not simply in your brain. It's in your bones, your breath, your heartbeat. The secret they feared you might recall is unraveling right now. The most dangerous type of power is not acquired. It is recalled that you were not just someone they attempted to manipulate. They worried you might wake up and talk. That's why they punished you for knowing so much. You were mocked for being motionless while others were in disarray. They shamed you for bearing facts they couldn't understand. They attempted to suppress your impulses, silence your intuition, and dull your vitality. However, no lie, pain, or manipulation was strong enough to remove your identity. And tonight, that impression reactivates. You are no longer a silent version of yourself. You are the revelation they attempted to conceal. You are the ancient return. They prayed that they would never witness the version of you that is currently rising. That is the one they dreaded. Too late. You have remembered. Number 6, you will be the one to render the verdict. They are unable to flee. The worst punishment you can give an adversary is not stated in court. It's given by the life they promised you'd never have. The chosen one. That is precisely who you are becoming. Tonight, you won't have to bring out receipts, debate your point, or plead for approval. You won't have to seek retribution or defend your innocence. Your mere presence will enough. That is the scariest thing for them. You are no longer a defense attorney presenting your case. You are the judgment itself. Truth does not dispute it. Arrive. Waves and falsehoods crumble under its shadow. When you truly recover, when you stop acting small to keep others comfortable, and when you genuinely embrace the version of yourself they said would never survive, you become living proof that their strategies failed. And proof is the one thing they can't twist. Regardless of how loud their falsehoods are, they labeled you as the issue. They described you as unstable, tough, and bitter. They attempted to turn your quiet into remorse, believing that your absence would wipe away the memories of their treachery. But it did not. In fact, your silence became their most vocal accuser. Now, you're in a season where simply hearing your name will set off an alert in their chest. Sharp, abrupt, and difficult to sleep. Their conscience will be shaken. Their masks will slip. Their carefully manufactured image will begin to collapse. Not because you exposed them, but because your mending gave them nowhere to hide. You are a live representation of their failure. The clear proof that the cosmos picked incorrectly when it placed you in their hands. Your radiance is louder than their chatter, and your tranquility is more severe than any vengeance. Imagine this. Someone who formerly criticized you, wrote you off, and even applauded your failure. Suddenly, when browsing through your presence today, they see your stability, development, and radiance. They get a twist in their stomach because they know they didn't just lose you. They lost the cover tale they created for you. Your life has become the final barrier they can never overcome. This is why your peace bothers them more than your anguish ever did. Pain made you tiny, controllable, and simple to portray as the antagonist. But peace, the peace makes them uneasy. Success makes them ill. Wholeness causes them to choke, because your growth shouts one unshakable truth. None of their approaches worked. You were stronger than their rejection, sharper than their smear campaigns, and more untouchable than they could have dreamed. From now on, every room you enter will convey an unsaid message. This is who they attempted to destroy, and that quiet pronouncement will hurt them more than any confrontation. When things go wrong in their environment, they will strive to appear perplexed. But deep inside, they will understand why they messed with someone they had no business touching. They wrote checks that their spirits could not cash, and now you've become the verdict they never expected to confront. Number 7, you will be the breakdown of their delusions of control. The concept that your opponents had control over you was the greatest illusion they ever offered. The instant you stop buying it, their empire crumbles. The Chosen One. Tonight marks the conclusion of their power excursions. They designed their games on smoke mirrors and your empathy. However, every trick has a limited time frame. And tonight, their time is up. What they dubbed power was never genuine. It was manipulation masquerading as authority, ego masked as power, and your patience have been utilized as fuel. The moment you stop asking for apologies, explanations, or clarification, the entire dynamic shifts. You are no longer sitting at their table. You have completely eliminated the table. A spell is only effective until you realize it for what it is. That's why they thrived on your uncertainty. They knew you cared enough to look for answers, so they kept you in a state of disarray. You wanted the truth, so you stayed instead of walking. You want serenity, so you explained yourself repeatedly. You sought love, so you offered them many opportunities to meet you where you stood. But the old you is gone tonight. You no longer need to inquire. You already know. And as a selected one goes from hoping to knowing that the entire manipulation superstructure has collapsed, they envision this puppet master confidently tugging strings and making the doll dance. Suddenly, the puppet cuts its own cords and stands on its own. The master's hands jitter in the air, grabbing for everything revealed as helpless. That's you now. They did not have power. You paid them attention. They did not have control. You granted them access. And now that you have returned both of their power trips, which crashed like glass against concrete, they feed on your skepticism. They are starving for your confidence. The stillness that used to make you feel abandoned has now made you sovereign. The rejection that once shattered you now validates your strength. Guilt trips that formerly worked now seem like hollow noise. You have outgrown the bait, and when the bait fails, the fisherman loses control of the hook. You are no longer the injured one seeking for closure. You are the conclusion. You are not the one looking for solutions. You are the answer, and their phony authority only worked when you questioned your own. Now you can see it plainly. They never had control. They were merely faking, and tonight, choose one. That veil is pulled down for good. Their games are revealed. Their tricks are no longer effective. Their stage is vacant. And what they are actually facing today is the one thing they hoped would never happen. You awoke untouchable and no longer under their influence. Number 8, you will become the scripture they cannot understand. The most upsetting reality for your foes is that you are not a book they can skim. You're a code. They were never designed to understand the Chosen One. Tonight, you enter a realm of power that cannot be Googled, discussed, or dampened down. You are not seeking attention or trying to be mysterious. You merely hold something that cannot be translated. That is the type of authority that comes from progressing beyond surface-level consciousness. You're no longer an open diary. They cannot turn your pages. You are the sacred text written in a language that only the cosmos can understand. Your quiet will pierce deeper than their fiercest charges. Imagine entering a room where everyone is attempting to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. They bend and twist. They disagree over what fits, but nothing clicks. Then you arrive. Your presence is the missing component. And suddenly, the puzzle is not broken. Yes, they are. That is why those who come into contact with you will experience a weird attraction. They won't grasp it, but they'll know it in their bones. Some will be lured near. I am desperate to figure you out. Others will flinch, mocking what they do not comprehend, because it's simpler to laugh at mystery than to acknowledge you're not ready to confront it. Confusion is their result, not your responsibility. They will put their pain onto you. They will label you tough and unapproachable, too intense or too diverse. But the reality is it's not you. They are agitated by the disparity between your and their awareness levels. You don't need to explain yourself. You do not need to explain your existence. You are no longer asking to be seen by those who refuse to remove the veil from their eyes. Your truth is not debatable. It simply is. Your life becomes the message. The way you enter a room, how you breathe, and how you carry quiet. There will be sermons. You will unsettle the shallow because your depth exposes their emptiness. And here's the twist. You were not designed to be understood by everyone. Some individuals were bound to be perplexed by you. That perplexity is their spiritual conclusion. So accept it. The chosen one. You are not here to be read as a paperback. You are here to be seen as a mystery. And then they find they can't decrypt. You cannot make a copy. You can't make yourself smaller. That's when the split starts. The wheat from the weeds, the genuine from the counterfeit. And all you needed to do was exist. Number 9, you will be the one who breaks bloodline shackles. The fiercest revolt isn't directed at strangers. It is against lying. Your own blood, known as tradition, has selected the person you will become tonight. You weren't born to carry the narrative. Your family rehearsed for centuries. You were born to disrupt it loudly, fearlessly, and definitively. They referred to the dysfunction as culture. They referred to quiet as respect and agony as love. It all ends with you, not because you despise where you came from, but because you finally had the bravery to ask what no one else would. Why do we keep repeating what is killing us? Truth does not arrive to be preserved. It begins to disrupt throughout childhood. You were acutely conscious of partiality at the dinner table, that silent wrath in which secrets hung in the air like smoke. Nobody dared to speak them. That was not in your gut when manipulation was disguised as discipline. Even as a child, you sensed there was something wrong, and since you noticed, others noticed you too. That's when they started characterizing you as the issue. But you were never the issue. You were the one who interrupted. Often, the first to heal appears to be the villain to the unhealed. That's why your boundaries seem disrespectful to them. That is why your silence seems like betrayal. This is why your unwillingness to bear their emotional baggage is interpreted as resentment. But don't be deceived, that's not the truth. That is programming. Programming instructs them to fight anything that undermines their perception of family togetherness. Imagine a domino chain that has been falling for generations. Each piece repeatedly knocks the next. No one is doubting the trend. Then it abruptly ceases. One piece refuses to descend. That's you. And refusing is not weakness. It is strength. Because your healing disrupted the rhythm. Your remoteness broke the illusion. Your essay exposed what they had been calling normal for decades. And this is what makes you dangerous. You did not have to battle them to overthrow the system. You just refused to continue playing your appointed role. No more compromising to maintain the peace. No more performing for love. No more carrying wounds that were not yours to bear. You moved away and took a single breath, which became revolt. Some people will study you not to learn, but to figure out how to bring you back. Some may dread you since your essay demonstrates that the system was always sick. Others will deny, claiming that nothing has changed, but everything has, because you didn't simply interrupt a cycle. You destroyed a history of survival masquerading as love and have now chosen one. You are living proof that freedom was always achievable, and it starts with you. Number 10, you'll become a soul. They cannot afford it anymore. The cruelest punishment is not to block someone. They can no longer afford to live at such a high cost. The chosen one. That shift occurs tonight. You no longer have to reduce your frequency to be understood. You no longer dilute yourself so that others can drink comfortably. Not because you have become arrogant, but because survival requires it. You have reached a level of worth that cannot be bargained with. Your soul has become a luxury, not for convenience. Those who used to freely access your energy are now barred from doing so, not because you slammed the door, but because they no longer had the required monies to enter. Healing does not make you cruel. It makes you pay too much for inexpensive energy. Consider how many years you've stretched yourself into unnatural shapes. You minimized your presence so that others did not feel tiny. You over-explained to ears that never listened. You endured disorder because you believed that peace meant making everyone else comfortable. However, that version of yourself is no longer present. Each wound you've repaired has increased your cost. Every scar you transformed into insight increased the worth of your presence. And now your quiet is louder than their demands ever were. Imagine a precious diamond being handled like a toy at a pawn shop, with people bartering, pawing, and undervaluing it. But when the diamond is placed in its proper setting in the correct light, its value is evident. Nobody dares to touch it without paying the actual price. That is the one you have picked. You've left the pawn store for people's convenience. Now your energy is recognized for what it has always been: rare, holy, and untouchable. Your presence is no longer free. Honesty comes at a cost. It is costly to maintain responsibility. It is costly. The reality is most people cannot afford it. That is why you will feel free to decline invites and leave phone calls unanswered. I walk away without a second thought. They will talk about how you've changed, and they'll be correct, because what they truly miss is not you. It's their previous hold over you. And let's be clear, family is no exception. Although blood connects bodies, it does not grant spiritual access. If they cause disruption, confusion, or ego, they are not welcome at your table. Titles no longer provide clearance. Only alignment works. Access to you has never been a right. It was always a privilege. That privilege has now expired for those who refuse to develop. You're not far. You're wonderful. Your soul is now valuable. Your energy is sacred. And tonight, the cosmos solidifies that reality. They can knock. They can beg. They can demonstrate humility. However, until their spirit has advanced, their access remains restricted. Number 11, you will become reality they declared could never exist. The most heinous kind of retribution is not to respond. It exists as proof of what they said was impossible. The chosen one. That is precisely what you are getting into tonight. They claimed you'd never get back up. They whispered that you would never recover, never ascend. It never matters without them. They grinned as you tripped. They gossiped about your breakup. When they felt they had finally laid you to rest, they clinked their glasses. But they didn't comprehend this. You were never the victim. You were the seed that had been buried in darkness and was meant to sprout. And now you've become the very thing they said could never exist. The live antithesis to their whole narrative. They didn't just doubt you. They invested in your collapse. Your agony served as confirmation of their supremacy. Your suffering brought them comfort. Each tear you wept fueled their pride. But healing ruined their investment. Healing altered the script. Now, every breath you breathe is peaceful and every stride you take is strong. Every word you say, in truth, deconstructs their lies in real time. You were supposed to be done. Instead, you've become the only headline. They can't undo the ascent they said would never happen. Imagine this. They set fire to a structure, sure that only ash would remain. When the smoke cleared, instead of ruins, a stronger building stood, fireproof, immovable, and radiant. That's you. They derided the wounds, which are now carved with knowledge. The anguish that they weaponized became your training ground. The brokenness they attempted to convert you into has become technology for your soul. Each wound reinforced the survival instinct. Each setback sliced into the approach. The glow they referred to as arrogance was just accuracy. Your presence offends them, not because it is loud, but because it is obvious. They claimed you were too broken. Your delight now causes them to choke. They claimed you were too impoverished. Your blessings now include receipts. They claimed you were too damaged. Nonetheless, you've become the most secure presence in a room. Every label they hurled at you, you transformed into armor. Every lie they told you became gasoline. Every attempt to bury you just reinforced your roots. And now we've picked one. Your entire existence has become their judgment. You don't just survive, you are radiant. You do not merely rise, you ascend in full view of those who have wagered against you. Every time you smile, flourish, and stroll in peace, it is a cosmic slap in the face of every curse they have ever said. What they believed would ruin you really exposed you. You're no longer a comeback story. You are the proof. You embody the insurrection. You are a miracle. They can't explain. You are the truth. They prayed that it would never be confirmed. Too late tonight. You already are it. Number 12. You will become the test. They cannot pass. The most difficult test is not written on paper. It's standing in front of someone and revealing every lie they've been hiding. The chosen one. That's what you're getting into tonight. You are no longer just strolling through life. You are wandering through people's disguises. You've become the mirror. They can't avoid the proof. They can't deny. And the exam that they never studied for, your very presence, suddenly separates the honest from the jealous. They are faithful from the fraudulent, and it stings. You will not even need to attempt. Elevation demonstrates allegiance more quickly than treachery ever does. When you level up, their emotions change, and they begin writing their own report cards. Some will applaud louder than before, because they have always supported you. Others will retreat in quiet. Their phony grins are crumbling under the weight of your progress. Some will even try sabotage, not because you have mistreated them, but because your brightness reminds them of everything they refuse to be. Your peace, your confidence, and luminosity. Everything becomes a trigger. Not arrogance, but misalignment. You did not want to put them to the test, but your very presence has done so. Imagine this, a strip of litmus paper immersed in a solution. The hue instantly shifts, exposing what had been hidden all along. That's you now. You're the spiritual litmus test. Walk into a room and observe. Who celebrates, gossips, imitates, and complicates their responses, reveals them before their words do. And regardless of how they spin it, the fact is that the next level you're progressing to cannot afford counterfeit support. Your rising is their revelation. They believed they could hide behind outward devotion, but envy always seeps through. They believed that by being courteous, they might disguise their animosity. But your radiance makes their jealousy boil. You won't even have to overanalyze anymore. Their enthusiasm reflects on them. Your transformation needs, and this demand will shatter the majority of them. So take a big move and choose one. Speak freely. Shine brightly. Your accomplishment is sacrosanct, and it comes with a responsibility to distinguish between the true and the fraudulent. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. You're now the filter, the test. They did not study for this exam and cannot scam their way through it. And when the results come in, many will fail with flying colors.